What's up, everybody? I'm Devon Walton, and welcome to the February 2nd edition of Homestead Road Weekly News, the show where we break down the trends, numbers, and real-world stories shaping your housing market right now. And this week is all about shifts. Not subtle changes, not seasonal adjustments like we've talked about in the past. I'm talking about real, measurable movement across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Tampa Bay. Building permits are jumping. Micro homes are gaining steam. The buyer-seller report balance is shifting right in front of us, and Florida just hit a completely new market phase. We've been tracking reports from Finance and Commerce, the Star Tribune, Realtor.com, WTAQ Wisconsin News, Axios Tampa Bay, Money.com, and more. And we've pulled all of that into one clear story so you know exactly what's happening. So let's jump right into it. All right, Minnesota, let's start with construction because this is the story that's setting the tone for the entire year. A new Finance and Commerce report from late January shows a 22% year-over-year increase. That's housing permits across the entire Twin Cities for the month of January. That is a big number, 22%, especially coming off a very slow Q4. Permits were strongest in Edina, Bloomington, Maple Grove, areas where builders were holding projects back for the end of the year, waiting for any kind of stability to show its head. Well, here's the important part. This looks like a boom, but experts are calling it more of a burst of energy and not a guaranteed trend. Because right beneath that headline, the same builders are warning that a construction financing is still expensive. Material costs haven't fully stabilized, and regulatory hurdles are still slowing larger projects. So what does that mean? Well, it means this surge could slow down quickly or stop. If the financial environment tightens again, builders may pull back, and when that happens, Minnesota's inventory shortage immediately reappears. And when new construction becomes unpredictable, existing homes, your homes, suddenly become the premium option again. This is exactly how Minnesota's resale market gets hotter, even in the dead of winter. So if you want to move before that spring rush hits, and it's hitting faster already, get a fast, fair cash offer at homesteadroad.com. No repairs, no cleaning, no showings, just an easy, stress-free sale. Now topic 2, and this one says a lot about today's home buyer. The Star Tribune released a feature this past week spotlighting the rise of tiny homes and micro-condos across the Twin Cities. What's a micro-condo? Homes under 700 square feet, once seen as niche or alternative housing, are suddenly becoming mainstream options. And this isn't just about cute, trendy homes. This is about affordability, finally meeting creativity. Mortgage rates dipping into the low sixes, which comes from Money.com's January 30th report, brought a new wave of buyers back into the conversation. And those buyers are saying, I don't need the extra bedroom. I don't need extra square footage. I just need a way to build equity. And they're right. People are choosing ownership over size, and that changes the starter home market dramatically. These smaller, more efficient homes open the door for first-time buyers who were priced out of the market originally, downsizers who want low-maintenance living, investors looking for Airbnb and furnished rental options, people wanting to have sustainable footprints. This could be Minnesota's next major trend: smart living instead of big living. Now let's talk about the data that's making every Minnesota real estate agent adjust their playbook. A national report from Realtor.com published January 29th shows that Minnesota is beginning to show true buyer market indicators for the first time in years. And here's what the numbers say. Median list prices are down about 2% year over year. Homes are sitting longer than they were last winter. Inventory is rising week after week. Mortgage rates are improving affordability, and this creates something we haven't seen in a while: breathing room. Buyers aren't rushing, buyers aren't panicking, and buyers aren't throwing $40,000 over asking price. They're comparing, they're negotiating, they're walking away if the price doesn't make sense. And that tells us that Minnesota is entering a more balanced phase, possibly the beginning of a buyer favorable one. Now for buyers, this is an opportunity window. For sellers, it means pricing does matter once again. Want to see exactly what your home is worth in the new market? Visit hsrrealestate.com. Check out your real-time value, compare buyer demand, and see how your neighborhood really stacks up. All right, let's jump east over to Wisconsin, where the housing story is finally starting to feel normal. A statewide report from WTAQ Wisconsin News confirms that affordability is improving thanks to a combination of rising inventory and slower price growth. When you compare it to the roller coaster markets that we've seen nationwide, Wisconsin stands out for being stable. In Dane County, Waukesha, Green Bay, here's the vibe. Homes are selling, buyers aren't panicking, sellers aren't overwhelmed. The market is predictable and balanced. Wisconsin might be one of the Midwest's most consistent markets going into the spring. Well, let's head down south to Tampa Bay. Well, finally, Tampa Bay, we've got a major shift happening here, according to TBBW magazine and a January analysis from Axios. Tampa Bay. Tampa has entered a selective market, which is totally different from the frenzied boom we saw from 2020 to 2023. So here's what that means. Buyers are picky, investors are cautious, and overpriced listings are sitting. The average household needs 7 years to save for a down payment. Rental properties are performing extremely well. This isn't just buy anything Florida anymore. This is strategic, measured, thoughtful market. And for Minnesotans eyeing a move to Florida, you finally have some leverage again. So for an easy relocation, Minnesota to Florida or vice versa, get a fast, fair cash offer at homesteadroad.com. Skip the repairs, skip the showings, skip the stress. So here's the big picture this week. Minnesota is shifting, Wisconsin is stabilizing, Tampa Bay is recalibrating. The housing market is rewriting itself, and if you understand these trends, you can make better decisions. If you want a fast, simple cash offer, go to homesteadroad.com. If you want to check out your home's value and buyer demand, visit hsrrealestate.com. I'm Devon Walton. Thanks for watching Homestead Road Weekly News. Stay smart, stay prepared, and as always, I'll see you here next Tuesday.